Some monsters hide in the dark. Others live right next door. Between 1978 and 1991, one man committed a string of crimes so horrific that even seasoned detectives were left shaken. This is the chilling true story of Jeffrey Dahmer, a serial killer whose gruesome acts shocked the world and left behind a trail of horror that no one could ever forget. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As a child, he was quiet, intelligent, but deeply troubled. Dahmer developed a fascination with dead animals, often collecting roadkill and dissecting them in the woods behind his house. His parents thought it was just a strange phase. It wasn't. By the time he reached high school, Dahmer had begun drinking heavily. But no one truly knew the darkness that was growing inside him. In 1978, shortly after graduating high school, Dahmer committed his first murder. His victim was Stephen Hicks, a hitchhiker he picked up on the roadside. Dahmer lured him home with the promise of beer and company. When Stephen tried to leave, Dahmer bludgeoned him with a dumbbell, then dismembered his body. He buried the remains in the backyard, a horrifying beginning to what would become a long string of brutal killings. Over the next 13 years, Jeffrey Dahmer became a predator unlike any other. He would frequent gay bars, lure young men to his apartment with offers of money or photo shoots, then drug them. But what happened next was beyond comprehension. Dahmer didn't just kill, he performed experiments. He drilled holes into some victims' skulls while they were still alive, attempting to create sex zombies by injecting acid into their brains. He preserved body parts, took Polaroid photographs of dismembered corpses, and kept skulls and organs in his fridge and freezer. The stench of death filled his apartment, yet somehow, the horror continued, unnoticed. In 1991, his crimes finally came to light. One of Dahmer's intended victims, Tracy Edwards, managed to escape. He ran through the streets with a pair of handcuffs still on his wrist and flagged down the police. When officers entered Dahmer's apartment, they found what one called a house of horrors. Inside were photographs of mutilated bodies, human remains in acid-filled vats, skulls lined up on shelves, and even a human heart in the fridge. Jeffrey Dahmer confessed to 17 murders. He showed no emotion as he recounted his crimes in chilling detail. When asked why he did it, he said he wanted to keep them with him, that he didn't want his victims to leave. In 1992, Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life sentences, but prison wouldn't be the end of his story. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was murdered in prison by a fellow inmate named Christopher Scarver. Some say it was revenge, others call it justice. Regardless, the nightmare was over. But for the families of the victims, and for the world, the scars remain. Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't insane. Not legally, at least. Psychologists diagnosed him with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal disorder, and necrophilia. But he was ruled sane and fit to stand trial. His crimes raised questions that still haunt experts today. How does someone so broken hide in plain sight for so long? How could neighbors, police, and society miss the signs? Jeffrey Dahmer's story is one of unimaginable horror, a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't hiding in the shadows. They're living right next door. If you found this story disturbing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more true crime cases that peel back the mask of the world's most chilling killers. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Dahmer was born a monster or made into one?